Work from home or work in the office? What's better? There's been a long-running debate over the last few years on the internet and elsewhere about the advantages of either one. But I'll tell you, let's cut to the chase. Work in the office is better. I'll tell you why. What's happening when your employee's working from home? They're getting distracted. They've got the laundry sitting there that they might want to go over and tackle. They got the dishes there. They're watching their kids. All these distractions that are keeping them from your job. They're also, maybe they're not focused fully on your work. Maybe they're moonlighting on something else. These are all the kind of the negative connotations that people have with somebody that's working from home. And I think that there's some concern about that, but I look at the many positives of having them come into the office. So when they're working from home, they don't have the opportunity to learn from their colleagues. They don't have the opportunity to have those impromptu conversations in the hallway or in the lunchroom. They don't have the opportunity to separate their work life from their home life. When their office is in their home, in a spare bedroom or at the kitchen table, they're always going to have that tug there, and you're going to have a worse work-life balance because they're going to be influenced by that situation. If they're coming into the office, their work life is in the office and their home life is at home. And that's a much better situation for your employees. When your employees are working in the office, they're going to be in the optimal environment for your projects and your company. They're going to have the best computer setups, whether you got multiple monitors. They're going to have the best printers. They're going to have scanners, all the equipment that you think that they need to do their job right. They're going to have that there in the office, and they're going to be sharing that with all of their teammates. So you don't have to buy 12 printers for your team. There's going to be less of a chance that they're going to be distracted or tempted to moonlight on some other project. If they're working in the office, they're going to have the social pressure of the rest of their teammates, looking over their shoulder and making sure that they're being conducive. It doesn't necessarily need to be a formal security type of overview of your team, but there's just going to be a social pressure to make sure that they're working, that they're not falling asleep there, and it's going to be easier for them to engage their teammates, whether or not you're using Slack or Teams and sending messages or WhatsApp. Those messages sometimes can get lost in translation, and you're going to end up with communication that not only is less clear, but sometimes can come across as rude or otherwise, and can create a culture that isn't as understanding and as comfortable in their communication. So better teamwork and mentorship happens when they're in the office. Think about how difficult it would be for you as a junior employee to get the eye of your senior managers, to learn from them, to have those conversations and deal with the office politics. Some people want to think about that as a negative thing, but there really is something to be said for a junior person having lunch with a senior person, or even just talking to them casually and understanding how they do things. For a junior employee, really those first few years are not only about learning how to do the job, it's about learning how to be a professional. It's about learning to come into the office on time and being professional and communicating in a professional way, of getting your work done on time. All of those things are easier to train with your employees if they're coming into the office. There was a time during the pandemic when people were talking about, our efficiency increased, our productivity increased when we went from home. And I think that theory and that idea really has kind of been debunked. The data on those studies are all over the board. And really, I think it depends on the team, the type of work they're doing, the seniority. Sure. If you got a team that's been working together for 4 or 5 years and you say, hey, we're going to work from home now, you're going to be doing the projects from there, they probably would be fine. But as soon as you want to grow, as soon as you want to bring in new people and advance them and teach them how you do things and add people or replace people, that's going to be very difficult when you have them working from home. So it was fine when everyone wanted to stand still for a year. But now, as companies want to grow and increase their team size and train people and promote them, you really need to be working in the office. And so find an opportunity for your remote teams to be working in an office together, and you'll be in a much better position. We have to acknowledge that there's still a lot of employees that want to have that flexibility of a work from home and a work in office setup. So a compromise that many employers are doing is a hybrid setup. This allows you to have the flexibility that you can offer to your employees where they can have a little bit of the best of both worlds. They're still going to be able to engage other employees 1 or 2 days a week. They're going to have those opportunities for mentorship. They're going to be able to go to employee engagement activities, those parties, those activities that you want to have to create the culture and teamwork that you want. But they're going to also have the opportunity to work from home a few days a week. This setup can work depending on the type of projects you do and the type of employees that you have. It's not ideal, but if you need to bring on employees and you think that this is the offering that you need to provide to bring on the best employees, then it can work. And so I think that you need to decide what's best for your situation and the employees that you want to attract. And this can be a benefit that you can offer to them. If you can find the right employees that are willing to work in the office, I still think that's better. But a work from home, work in office hybrid setup can work, and I think is the minimum that you want to do so that you can create those opportunities for them to learn from others, to have those employee engagement opportunities, and really kind of grow with your company. So what's the strategy if you want to have your work from home employees or hybrid employees come work in the office on a full-time basis? First, you're going to have to create a defined process for the employees so that they can really understand how it's going to happen over a few weeks or some period of time, so that they're not surprised and they can get their affairs in order and really understand what the process is going to be. You're also likely going to want to maybe give them a little bit of a bump for the additional costs associated with travel. There's benefits on their part, electricity and potentially on internet or other things that they may be able to save money on, and you might want to communicate that. But having a little bit of extra compensation to cover those travel expenses is really something you might want to consider. Additionally, you're really going to want to increase your empathetic leadership. You're going to want to be thinking about how you're going to deal with your employees and their everyday lives. So maybe when they're work from home, you kind of let them do their thing and they would really appreciate that flexibility. Now you're going to have to take on some of that responsibility on your own. So if they've got activities for their kids or their family members or just things that they need to do, you're going to want to be flexible about that. And to the extent possible, allow them to have that time off to be able to do those things that they were doing before and be able to continue to do. Additionally, you might want to consider a flexible work hour arrangement. So if it's better for them to come in at 10 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock so that they're avoiding the rush hour traffic, or even coming in at noon and working till later in the afternoon, if that works better with their childcare or whatever other responsibilities they have, you want to try and look at those situations and be as empathetic as possible to allow for the seamless transition for your employees. And also, I think that you want to try and promote the positives that you have when they're coming into the office. So you want to promote the better office environment. You want to promote the high-speed internet that you have in the facilities, and if you're lucky enough to have break rooms or game rooms or things like that, to promote that and make sure that they're fully aware of that and taking advantage of that, and really put them in a position where those facilities and opportunities are experienced and valued by your employees. And then I think finally you want to really take advantage of all those things that you have in the office, so that those employees that are coming into the office are benefited by them. So when we transitioned from a hybrid model or a work from home model during the pandemic to work in office, what we really did is we brought in a lot of snacks for the employees. We had a lot of one-on-one meetings with the managers and the staff, and had a well-defined process, and really tried to show the benefits for those employees that were coming into the office, that showed the benefits, so that they could see that, hey, when I come into the office, not only am I being treated right, they're thinking about my individual circumstances, if I need some flexibility on one day or another, and I'm getting more out of it. I'm getting more face time with my boss. I'm getting more opportunities to show my leadership, more opportunities to take on more responsibilities, and seeing an opportunity for the employee to grow and be promoted and have a greater career with your company. So I think if you can show that you're going to have a well-defined plan for them to come in the office, you're going to treat them better when they're in their office with the facilities and equipment and perks, and you're going to be flexible when they need to be away from the office and consider their individual circumstances. And finally, you're going to show that it's going to be a positive thing for their career on advancement and pay and having more opportunities for leadership. So how do you do a work in office setup if you have a remote team? I think that many people, when I talk to them, they assume I'm going to be extolling the virtues of work from home, because you've got all of these Filipinos working from home, and that must be the way it's done. In our setup, we help work with the landlords to get the space, so that we have it all set up for you the way you want it. You can have your office with a manager's office. You can have an open layout. You can have individual offices. You can do whatever you want, so that you can have the perfect office set up for you and gain all of those advantages that you would want for your work in office staff. And so if you're considering a remote team, think about how you're going to be able to put them in a work in office environment. If Tachi can help you do that, we'd love to do that. Reach out to us and we'll talk about it. And so I'm hoping you're thinking about how you can have your remote team work in the office and what's the best way for you. All right, so like this video, subscribe, share it with your friends, your colleagues, your fellow entrepreneurs. Maybe we can help them too. And post a comment down in the comment section. We'd love to talk to you there, maybe answer your questions. And until next time, thank you.